Over the past week or so, we've seen a lot of very interesting things unfold within the world of Call of Duty. We saw Modern Warfare win its fair share of awards from its behind closed doors E3 presentation, including Best Online Multiplayer. We saw our first initial teasers for Operation 5 within Black Ops 4, featuring our very first look at Alpha Omega, the brand new Zombies map coming on July 9th, and we also saw Kotaku unveil a massive amount of information regarding the developmental stages of Black Ops 4 and the secrets behind many of the game's underlying issues. And today we're focusing in on that last one because through this Kotaku piece, we found out that Black Ops 4 was originally going to be a very different game from what it is now. Prior to some major workarounds and cancellations that we'll bring up throughout this video, Black Ops 4 was originally going to have a campaign, Blackout was not even going to exist, and overall, Black Ops 4 could have been an entirely different product had certain things not happened. So today we're diving right into the dark secrets of Black Ops 4's creation. What's up guys, Zacher Immortal here, welcome back to the channel, and as always, thanks for stopping by. We are getting ever so close to 50,000 subscribers here on the channel, which is honestly absurd to even say considering when Black Ops 4 launched, we weren't even at 20,000 subscribers, so big shout out to everyone who has joined the fam recently, and if you're not subscribed already and you want to stay on top of everything going on in the world of Call of Duty, feel free to subscribe with your post notifications turned on, that way you'll always know when I upload a new video. And of course, if you guys do enjoy this one, let me know by dropping a like rating on it, as it would be much appreciated and it does really help the channel grow. And now let's get into the mystery that is the original vision for Black Ops 4 and why it ultimately fell flat. Now, as I mentioned in the intro, this information is courtesy of Jason Schreier over at Kotaku, who we have mentioned a handful of times on the channel in the past as a source for various leaks and other credible news. So when it comes down to it, this is all the real deal. And while this entire article is pretty lengthy and there's a lot more to it than we will touch on here today, this entire briefing sheds a lot of light on what actually goes on behind the scenes of a video game. Of course, all we end up seeing is the finished product, and then we're kind of just left to judge as we please. But man, behind closed doors, there is a lot more that goes on that I didn't even know about. And even now, the whole process is still pretty much a huge mystery to me personally. That said though, Black Ops 4 originally was not going to be anywhere near the product that we have here today. Instead, the game was going to come complete with a full-blown campaign, and get this, no Battle Royale mode whatsoever. But 2 years into development, all of that ended up changing. According to this article, which you can find linked down below if you would like to read along as I dissect it, near the beginning of 2018, Treyarch employees were told that the original campaign for the game was going to be completely cancelled, but why exactly is that? Well, the vision for it was that it was going to be a 2 versus 2 multiplayer-based campaign mode, and that AI could fill in where needed. But essentially it was going to be a two-sided battle mode kind of campaign that unfortunately just would not come to fruition. Apparently there were technical aspects of it that the team just was not confident in, there were also timing issues, and to top it all off, the playtesters were reportedly very dissatisfied with the whole idea, as they said the game was just far too repetitive. So in the early months of 2018, the same year in which the game was set to launch, Treyarch decided to reinvent their entire campaign vision and twist it to be a more traditional single-player mode. A member of Treyarch described the new vision as something featuring more explosions and set pieces that would hopefully feel more like the classic Call of Duty that everyone knows and loves. But it appears that vision wasn't going to work out too well either. It was around that same time when Rockstar Games ended up announcing that Red Dead Redemption 2 was going to be released in October of that year. So Activision decided to push Black Ops 4 from a November launch to earlier on in October to hopefully stand a better chance at competing against what was the most anticipated game of the year at that time. And now, with an even stricter time constraint in play, it became very apparent very quickly that redoing the campaign was not going to be possible. So it was then and there that Treyarch decided to completely cancel the campaign altogether, which then left Black Ops 4 as a completely unfinished product just a few months before launch. So it was then when the higher-ups decided a Battle Royale mode would have to suffice, since at the time Battle Royale was all the rage thanks to games like Fortnite and PUBG. So it was then when the Blackout development started, and at the time this was only 9 months before launch. So Treyarch now had to, from the ground up, create a brand new mode that we had never even seen in a Call of Duty game before, which ultimately led to an insane amount of work and effort being put in to ensure that Blackout was ready in time for launch, and I guess actually before that even, since the beta for Blackout did also have to happen prior to the game releasing. Now, to say Blackout came together in less than a year's time and it launched in the state that it did, that is pretty impressive if you ask me. Personally, I find Blackout to be one of the smoother battle royale experiences we have available right now, and it's easily my favorite, but hey, I am a COD fanboy, maybe I'm a little bit biased there, but nonetheless, 9 months of development and it came out like it did, that's pretty good. Regardless though, Blackout was now the big focus for Treyarch, much more so than multiplayer and even zombies, which each still had multiple stages of development left too. And unfortunately, because there was so little time left on the clock for the game to be considered acceptable for launch, all hands had to be on deck for Blackout specifically, which could be the very reason that post-launch, it felt like multiplayer and zombies were just a little lackluster and definitely not up to standard with the other iterations that we had seen of them in the past, especially from Treyarch. Now, there's no denying that Blackout has felt like the golden child of Black Ops 4 this year, as it seems to receive a lot more support and attention than multiplayer and zombies. And I would have to credit a lot of that due to the lack of time there was to perfect the mode prior to the game going live. What I would have to say is probably the saving grace of Blackout being as polished as it was at launch though, has to be the fact that there are so many iconic locations on the map, like Raid and Array and Cargo, and all of these other areas that we've seen as maps in previous games, because that had to save a ton of time when it came to creating the physical world of Blackout. You know, all of those assets were already established and ready for reuse. But like I said earlier, I know next to nothing about game development. That is simply an assumption made on my end, so I could be completely wrong there by all means. Anyways, back onto the main topic for today, Black Ops 4's missing campaign. I would say it's pretty wild to see that not one, but 2 versions of the campaign were completely cancelled by the Treyarch leads because of concerns and constraints. But surprisingly enough, this wasn't even the first time that a Black Ops campaign was cancelled during production. Jason also goes on to detail in this Kotaku article that back in Black Ops 3, originally the campaign was supposed to be an open world experience, which is obviously nothing like the campaign that we saw in that game. But lo and behold, halfway through the production, Treyarch ended up canceling the open world aspect of the game and reverting back to the more standard traditional campaign style that we are more familiar with. So to have this happen not once, not twice, but 3 times in the last 2 games, good grief, Treyarch, what exactly is going on over there? Now, I'm not trying to throw shade at any member of the dev team whatsoever because, well, let's face it, all of those individuals are 10 times more talented than I am, and despite their extreme time constraints that they ultimately had to work against, both Black Ops 3 and Black Ops 4 are pretty solid games in my mind. Sure, Black Ops 4 might have its controversies, but the core gameplay I am personally a huge fan of, and all things considered, I'd say it's pretty impressive to see that the game turned out how it did. But like I said in the intro, what we touched on here today definitely does not entail the full purpose of this article. There is a lot of excess information that Jason goes on to talk about regarding the quality of life over at Treyarch that, well, I mean, to put it bluntly, isn't really all that pretty. QA testers essentially get the short end of the stick constantly, and despite quite a few Treyarch employees being avidly against the constant monetization and surplus of microtransactions, Activision ultimately has the final say and can pretty much just overrule and override any opposition to the system. And that's really only a brief summary of what the rest of this article details, so I would definitely encourage that you guys go and read it for yourself if you do have the time. Like I said, it is kind of lengthy, but it is definitely a good read. Anyways, with that being said, that is effectively going to wrap things up for today. Kind of a different style of video, but nonetheless, I thought it was a pretty cool one, seeing what Black Ops 4 could have been, compared to what it turned out to be because of what all happened. By all means, drop me a comment down below, letting me know what you think about this whole situation. Would you have preferred the campaign to have stayed in the game instead of Blackout, or are you alright with how things turned out? I'm definitely curious to see what you guys have to say about it. If you guys enjoyed the video, let me know by dropping a like rating on it, as it would be much appreciated and it does really help out the channel. And of course, if you are brand new here and you want to stay on top of everything going on in the world of Call of Duty, ranging from news to leaks to updates and everything else in between, feel free to subscribe with your post notifications turned on. That way you'll always know when I upload a new video. As always, be sure to use code IMMORTAL on all G Fuel, Control Freak, and Respawn products. All of those links can be found down in the description below. And once again, thanks so much for tuning in. Until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.